Hello, and welcome to the Full Send Half Mast podcast, episode number 20. Tonight we're going to talk about the 24 Hours of Le Mans, the Garage 56 entry there, as well as the winners overall, LMP2, GTE class as well. We're going to talk about the Sonoma NASCAR races, and if you tuned in to the watch party there Sunday, we talked a lot about some interesting stuff there as well. And we'll also be talking about some of the races coming up this weekend with F1 and the Canadian Grand Prix, as well as IndyCar at Road America, Indy NXT as well, and then ARCA series over at Berlin Speedway. So first off, we'll get right into a quick word from our sponsor, W Energy Blends. W Energy Blends, introducing NeuroFactor, an all-natural coffee cherry extract to help fuel you with energy, laser focused, and fast reflexes. Provides concentration with important aminos and vitamins without the crash that ordinary canned energy drinks just cannot provide. Try amazing flavors such as Dragonade, Dub Sludge, Galaxy Grenade, and my personal favorite, Beach and Peach. Buy the starter pack today, including 2 flavors and a shake cup for an extremely low price. Follow the link in the description below and use promo code DEGABOYS for 10% off your order. Thanks to W for their continued sponsorship of Dega Boys Broadcasting. Alrighty. How are you doing tonight, Tom? Ready to talk about some racing?
Oh, baby. Oh, baby. Always. Ready to go over what happened this weekend and next week going on.
Heck yeah. I'm super excited.
This week, not next week.
Right. Because this week we have the NASCAR races there over in the or this week we actually have no NASCAR races, is what I meant to say. We're currently in an off weekend between the Fox NBC broadcasts. So tonight is more about recapping the Sonoma race and then talking about the open world side of things with IndyCar and Formula One here. So that'll be super exciting. First off, we're going to start this broadcast off with some news. Some news that's come out recently over the week that we haven't, or that we have not had a podcast. So we'll go through some of the penalties, some of the big rules or new driver announcements, some of the winners over the last weekend. So first off, I want to mention Legacy Motor Club's number 43 car, driven there by Eric Jones. They got an L2 penalty, which we saw earlier this year with Hedrick Motorsports and with Colleague. This one was in line with the Colleague and Hendrick penalties here, as they were given an L2 penalty, which basically means that Eric Jones was docked 60 points, driver and owner points for that team. and then 5 playoff points, as well as a fine, $100,000 fine to their crew chief, as well as a 2-week suspension. So, modifying the greenhouse, which is basically the cabin, top part of the cabin of the Cup cars. And so, as we saw with the colleague and Hendrick penalties, they both got those penalties appealed. So we'll see whether this Legacy Motor Club decides to do the or appeals to this penalty as well. Pending that, they haven't made an announcement whether they appeal or not. I personally believe they should, because at the precedent NASCAR set with this particular penalty, they've gotten away scot-free. So I feel like they should just try to appeal this penalty, especially to help Eric Jones, who's so far down in points as it is right now, and the financial hurt that brings as well. Also, I want to mention that Alex Palou, we've mentioned him time and time again, dominant guy right now in IndyCar, just on absolute mission to get this championship this year. He tested an F1 car last week with McLaren at the Hungaroring, which was pretty dang cool. What are your thoughts on that, Tom?
I feel like that's a little awkward because of previous history, but I mean, good for him. He deserves it, honestly, but it's still, I wonder what Ganassi thinks of it.
Yeah, that is very interesting, actually. That is a really interesting drama there. Also, Kamui Kobayashi will be making his Cup debut for 2311 in the number 67 car at the Indy Road Course. Currently drives for Toyota Gazoo Racing in the World Endurance Championship. So making his Cup Series debut at the Indianapolis Road Course, one of the most iconic tracks, and kind of in his driving style, and probably a bucket list thing for him to do. So, what are your expectations for Kobayashi with the 2311 Toyota in the Cup Series?
It's not very high. There's not a lot of drivers that come from that region who can keep their car clean by the end of the race.
Yeah.
So I think if he can just come home with a clean car, that'd be a win.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like anybody that does these one-off crossovers from a different series into NASCAR, they get a rude awakening right away, and it just doesn't work out for them.
Yeah.
I mean, the only one I can think of in any recent memory, I guess two, is Juan Pablo Montoya was able to pretty much adapt the Cup car pretty quick. But this is a complete different car. So, I mean, again, this isn't really a driver talent car. This is a track position car, which we'll talk about that more when we talk about the Sonoma race recap here. Also, Ryan Preece, to mention, he won the ARCA West race at Sonoma there on Friday. So that was a super big moment for him to get a win in the General Tire 200 there at Sonoma. That was super exciting. And then also I want to mention Jonathan Davenport actually won the late model Dream at Eldora Motor Speedway, or the Eldora Dirt Track. So huge moment for him. $129,000 prize there. Stacked field. Him and Bobby Pierce were throwing sliders on each other late there. It was a great race. Congratulations to Jonathan Davenport, Superman, proving why he's Superman. I would love to see him come back and run another NASCAR race next year. That'd be pretty dope. All right, so first off, we'll just recap the races this weekend. We have the Xfinity Cup, like I mentioned, at Sonoma, as well as the Centenary 24 Hours of Le Mans, the round 4 of the World Endurance Championship for 2023. Super exciting race. We'll talk about that first. So we saw Ferrari on pole day. Tom's prediction to win the overall, I can't exactly remember what you picked. You picked Cadillac. That's right, with Bourdais, Dixon, and Van der Sande.
Yes.
Yeah. And then I picked the number 5.
What a terrible start
Porsche
they had.
Yeah, I mean, we'll break it down for sure. A lot of these hypercar teams had terrible outcomes, whether misfortune or just accidents, and or even just pace in general. So first off, we saw Ferrari get pole. They kind of dominated all of practice. They dominated the first day of qualifying. They dominated hyperpole day. I believe the Ferrari number 51 team, they ran like, I think it was like a second quicker than the second fastest team there in qualifying. and it was him stuck in GT3 traffic, which was insane. Insane. He was stuck in traffic and still was able to put a pole time up higher than someone with clean track in front of him could put up. That was just an insane drive right there to put that thing on pole for Ferrari in the first place. Also, this guy is gonna get my bonehead nominee here, Jack Aiken, in the number 311 or the 311 Wheeling Cadillac Performance Team. I picked them as my dark horse. I've seen what they've done this year in IMSA. It was a stacked driver lineup there with Sims and Durrani as well. And not even 2 minutes into a 24-hour race, Jack Aiken going through the chicane there off the back straightaway, puts this thing right into the wall and just killed their race. I mean, to wreck a minute and a half into a 24-hour race, I mean, what are we doing here? I mean, what are your thoughts on this, Tom?
Same. It's the exact same. We talk about this all the time, but they're 400 or 500 mile races. These guys are in a 24-hour race. He's been in it like 2 minutes into the race.
Oh, man. So, yeah, my dark horse basically eliminated it. Not even 2 minutes after the green flag flies, they're destroyed, done pretty much. So there goes my dark horse. We also saw, I'm breaking this race kind of into 3 segments. We're going to do the first half, or the first part of the race, which will be about the first 6 hours, then through the night, which is about the next 10 hours, and then the finish, which is the final, 6 hours or so. That's kind of how I'm breaking this up. So this is the first lap of the race. Aiken is in the wall. My dark horse is done. We saw our first retirement there a few hours into the race there with the Nielsen number 14 LMP2 car crashing. We also saw Jordan Taylor. We know how talented of a race car driver he is. He lost control of the car, and he ends up crashing that number 13 Tower LMP2 car as well early on. Then drama struck here. Jota in Hypercar. Definitely a team that is on the dark horse side of it in that Porsche 963 Hypercar. Leading this race, they throw in their 22-year-old Japanese driver, and he ends up, by lack of experience, I think is what it boils down to here. He just absolutely made a mistake when the rain started falling and wrecks from the lead, really just derailing any chance that Team Jota had at upsetting the big dogs of Ferrari and the main manufacturer for Porsche, as well as Toyota. So that was a really heartbreaking moment there for the Jota team. And then, like I mentioned, they wrecked early when the rain started to fall. We saw absolute chaos when the rain fell. We saw multiple wrecks and collisions. We saw the Cadillac team sliding around. We saw a couple GT3 cars go into the wall. We saw a couple LMP2 cars as well wreck during that beginning stint of the rain there, about 5 hours into the race. Like, if you're out there, just go on YouTube and Google YouTube the 5 hours there, or the 5 hour mark of this race, and just look at all of the calamity that ensued with the rain. It was absolute mayhem. And then we saw the Peugeot team, the French team, take control of this race going into the nighttime. It looked like they had the pace. The problem was going into the weekend was reliability, because their reliability throughout the season's been terrible. They were able to take the lead into the nighttime, and then it kind of fell apart. They ended up wrecking in the nighttime, actually. We also saw the number 7 Toyota Gazoo Racing team, the Hypercar. They also wrecked and retired during the nighttime during a wreck. We saw Daniel Kvyat driving his number 63 Prima LMP2 have a collision in the nighttime. And then, like I mentioned, the Peugeot Hypercar, number 94, he ends up crashing into the nighttime. So they went from the lead going into the nighttime to wrecking in the nighttime. Very devastating there for them. And then after the nighttime was done, after we got into daylight, that we saw the number 8 Hypercar for Toyota surface to the lead, and him and the number 8 Toyota team and the number 51 Ferrari team kind of dueled it out there once daylight struck for the last 5 hours. We saw the 51 Toyota team have a little bit of trouble with their ignition there at one point, got leaped by the Toyota. They were able to beat them or get back by them through pace. And overall, the number 51 Ferrari team, they were screaming red. All the Ferrari fans coming out of the woodworks here, celebrating their return to Le Mans, and they got the dub in the LMP2 or in the hypercar and the overall, which was pretty dang impressive. And then we saw the number 34 Interpol team, which was the Polish team in LMP2, end up taking the LMP2 victory, as well as the number 33 Corvette LMG TE car winning that division as well. So different picks than what we expected. A lot of our favorites kind of had a lot of issues, but you expect that in a 24-hour race. So very interesting winners there. And then also I want to mention that Garage 56 finishes 39th overall. And at certain points of this race, they were climbing up, passing GTE cars even. And they moved into, what was the highest that the Garage 56 actually climbed into in this race? Do you remember?
I think it was 32nd overall.
Yeah, that's insane. I mean, there was 62 entries on the list, right? So I think that they missed 1 hour of a stint because they were having driveline issues there, which was unfortunate there. But I think that this Garage 56 entry not only ran well and did well, but like as we mentioned on our Sunday live stream, Jimmy Johnson. I mean, he actually didn't wreck. I mean, it's an absolute shocker here. I mean, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I lost money on that because I put $20 on him to stuff it in the wall first. So I certainly didn't want that to happen, so I'm glad I'm wrong. That's for sure. But yeah, it was still a great run. They had a lot of good things going for them. Even though it is the innovative car, I mean, they weren't really racing for anything other than saying that, Americans can build a car too. But other than that, it was just out there to flex muscle.
Yeah, that was my next point is the interwebs kind of went wild over this Garage 56 car. Yeah. The memes are just non-stop. Just, it was great. I think there was that one quote is like they were saying that the Garage 56 ran an X amount of kilometers, and they were in Hendrick Motorsports. They replied, "No, we ran this many miles." Like, what is a kilometer?
Yeah, it was like so far they've ran 3,218 kilometers, whatever that means.
Yeah, and they said Garage 56 was like a typical American, loud, noisy, and obnoxious, and I love it. I just love it. I think it'd be great to see like the top teams of NASCAR, maybe like 2 from each manufacturer, enter the 24-hour Le Mans each year as their own individual class, and just have a race inside of a race. I think they should have. Dope.
Yeah, and if they just made like a stock car division, right? Because actually North America isn't the only continent that does stock cars, right? Well, within North America, there's the Canadian Pinty series. They make stock cars, and then there's the Mexican what's it called?
Yeah, they keep changing the name of it. Yeah.
Well, Mexico has a stock car series, Brazil has a stock car series, yep. Europe has a stock car series, and the Finland, Sweden, Denmark, they have a stock car series too. So it'd be pretty cool to see a stock car series where you see, well, maybe it's just like North America versus South America versus Europe versus Northern Europe, or, something like that. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. I think that definitely needs to be in the works. I mean, and what a way to attract more manufacturers to NASCAR, right? If you allow them to build a stock car to compete in like a endurance style race, maybe it would intrigue them to want to maybe enter the sport of NASCAR. Who knows? I mean,
yeah, I wonder how many NASCAR fans called up the Le Mans track and asked if they could reserve a spot for their Winnebago for next year.
I mean, the logistics are be a little wild, but I think you're right though. There's definitely some people there that would definitely try to make that happen. That is great, and we could turn Le Mans into the next Talladega. Honestly, if we keep getting NASCAR going there.
Could you imagine like a Mad Max scene of just shaggin' wagons coming into the Le Mans circuit, like ready to set up and cap. That'd be sweet. That'd be so American right there.
Oh, that would be great. The only problem is half the NASCAR fans, if you were to ask them where Le Mans was, they probably wouldn't be able to tell you.
Yeah.
All right. So, I mean, is there any more thoughts you have on the 24-hour Le Mans, or is that pretty much a good summary of the race, winners?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys, anybody watching, are big racing fans. I actually started being a racing fan watching the IMSA Endurance Series, and then I got into NASCAR and all that other stuff, IndyCar, SCCA, etc., etc. But I've always been a fan of endurance racing. It's always been my favorite. The beginning section of this race, we saw the rainfall, we saw the very competitive racing in the beginning, and then when the night came, that's when it really got interesting, because not only do you have the element of darkness, you also have that element of hypercars passing LMP2 cars, passing GTE cars, and it's just really exciting. And it's not just one part of the track. I mean, it's everywhere. It's that whole track that you are seeing with excitement happening. So I highly suggest watching more than just the 24-hour Le Mans. I mean, coming up, we have the Spa 24 hours, and that's just GTE cars, but still great race. We've got, Petit Le Mans coming up.
6 hours at the Glen is actually in 2 weeks from today, or 2 weeks from Sunday. So
yeah,
that'll be a good one as well.
Yeah, that's right. And I highly suggest watching all of them, because it's honestly so underrated, the racing that happens there, and it's been underrated since probably around 2013. I started watching IMSA around 2008, 2009, and it was all right. But probably around 2013, around that area, that's when it really started to get really, really good. And I kid you not, ever since that year, it's just gotten better. And it's getting better, and it's still getting better.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this year's even like the World Endurance Championship at Spa was amazing, and then we had the IMSA race at Long Beach. If you guys haven't watched that race, you gotta go back and watch it. That race was probably one of the top 5 races so far this year. It was amazing. So
so underrated,
for sure. Very underrated, and amazing drivers and strategy. It's the way racing's supposed to be, right? It's supposed to be who can shine, what teams can build the best race car, who plays the best strategy, who can do the best stint during their particular time up behind the wheel. It's just every element of racing in one.
And I think the best part about these endurance races and most of these, IMSA or SCCA races is that the drivers that we see driving are major racing rejects, as you might say. I mean, you've got, Brandon Hartley. You haven't heard that name since 2020. He was racing Toro Rosso. It was Toro Rosso at the time, and he only got his one shot, which he got screwed in my opinion. But he's out here racing in this series. I mean, you've got Jan Magnussen, and I'm reading off the list here: Colin Braun, Simon Pagenaud, Pietro Fittipaldi, Oliver Rasmussen. The list just goes on and on. Jean-Veric Verne, Paul de Rista. I mean, these are some huge names here. Sebastian Buemi. Mike Conway. I mean, it just goes on and on. Tristan Vautier. I mean, all these guys are just phenomenal racing drivers, and they've all been rejected from the top sport. I think that's the best part, because I think all of them have a chip on their shoulder, and they're wanting to prove that they are the best, no matter where they go.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think that pretty much summarizes the 24-hour Le Mans right there. That was a great race. Great race. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
All right, next we're going to talk about the DoorDash 250 Xfinity race on Saturday. I guess before we go into the race, I just want to mention that both races in the NASCAR series this weekend at Sonoma were both pretty much identical races, mirror images of each other. Pretty standard, like old school road course racing, right? So we saw Kyle Larson get the pole in the Xfinity race. Not a lot of action, kind of pulled away there. We saw in turns 11 there, we saw Chastain get into the back of Nemechek and really set him back. Doing Chastain things, being aggressive and trying to get by Nemechek there. It was pretty entertaining to watch. And then we saw, like I said, Larson pulled away. He ends up winning stage 1. Just looked like the most dominant car. Lap 21, though, we saw Josh Berry stall on the track, which kind of bunched them back up together again. And this allowed for the first set of strategy. We saw Nemechek and Hill stay out off of this after this pit stop. And Hill was able to lead for half a lap or a lap and a half. And then Larson gets back by him there, lap 28, and goes on to win stage 2 again. So it looks like there's nothing that could stop Chastain from winning this, Larson from winning this race. And then our major incident here was on lap 61. We saw Jeffrey Earnhardt going through turns 10 there, I believe. And he ends up going off the track and getting into the wall, kind of destroying his car, kind of changed the race at that point. Because then at this point, we saw a pit stop. We saw Suarez and Alex Labay stay out. And then we saw Almirola actually leap Larson on that pit sequence. And Suarez and Labay, they kind of missed turn 1. Almirola goes straight to the lead. Larson follows him through. And Almirola's got the lead, right? 15 laps to go. Larson, for the last 15 laps, hounding him until about 8 to go. And we have this clip right here between Larson and Almirola. All right.
Well, if Eric can keep getting off of turn 8A like he is right now, but this is his distance where he's at a disadvantage right there. He enters shallow.
Oh, Larson.
Whoa.
Way wide.
What happened there?
A.J. Allmendinger comes by and gets second where Larson had a problem.
I wonder if power steering went out or.
Let's go back and look as Larson's going for the top spot.
Oh, you see the left front tire. You see the left front. Did you see the left front tire?
He hit the tire bundle.
Yeah.
We were looking at two different things. You were looking at the left front tire. I was looking at the tire bundle. He hit the tire bundle and something happened.
Yeah. Well, it might have been the tire bundle.
All right, that pretty much summarized what I wanted to show. Kind of a backstory here, right? We made a video about Haley Deacon probably a month or two ago at this point, and we had a comment on there that kind of hit home with us a little bit. We laughed at it. We thought it was freaking hilarious, right? This guy comments saying, this is why they're bringing Kevin Harvick into the booth next year. Like, you guys have no racing experience. You guys don't know what you're talking about. This is why we're bringing Kevin Harvick into the booth next year, because if we just brought any old Joe Blow off the street into the booth, look what we'd have. We'd have you guys. And so, when this incident happened here, I think me and Tom discussed it within about 5 seconds, and we established that what happened is Larson went into that corner, grabbed the tire bundle, and what happened is the wheel got knocked to the left. He let go of the wheel, let it catch itself, and went up the track. And then by the time when he let go of the wheel, he had so much wheel input into it going around the turn that both of his wheels were locked the other way. The car just washed right up the track. We figured this out in about 5 seconds, Tom? I mean, am I exaggerating there? Yeah, about 5 seconds.
No.
It took Harvick and Cindric, two racing experts with racing experience, about 2 laps to figure out that he actually hit the tire barrier. They didn't even know that he hit the tire barrier. And then let alone, they didn't even know why the car went wide to begin with. So, I guess my point here is, do you have to drive a race car to know how to be a racing expert? Because obviously Kevin Harvick drives one and he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. I mean, what are your thoughts here, Tom?
I thought that Helen Keller could have saw that.
Helen Keller saw it.
That's even Stevie Wonder probably pointed that out. We got that report 2 laps later. I think we should bring Stevie Wonder into that booth.
Yeah. And this leads me to my next point.
Is he still alive?
I don't know. That's a good question, actually. I'll have to Google that after the stream. That's a good question.
I don't even.
I guess this leads me to my next point. Kevin Harvick is the worst broadcast announcer there is. I mean, It's just absolutely terrible. How could you be someone that drives a race car and not realize what just happened there? I mean, are they watching the same race we're watching? Looks like you don't have to be a racing expert at all, because me and Tom are absolutely not racing experts. We don't have any racing experience. We don't know what we're talking about.
Hey, if you guys would like to see some of our in-action reporting, go check out some of our broadcasts that we do. I'd love to. I love criticism.
Yeah, I'm with you too.
That's
I
all
love
I gotta say about that.
My favorite comments are the hate comments because it's just hilarious. I would rather have 10 hate comments than one good comment. And I do love the good comments, don't get me wrong, but I love the hate comments because they're just hilarious by the average Joes of the internet. It's great. Did you get any update here on Stevie Wonder?
Yeah, so he is still alive, but I went on Google here and I just looked up, is Stevie Wonder still alive? And I got all these websites to look at, but I think the funniest part about this is that somebody actually made a website that's called alivechecker.com. And you can type in anybody's name and look.
That is great.
Okay, that's my little tidbit right there. Alivechecker.com. Some dude's making a lot of money off of that, and I'm kicking myself as the reason why I didn't think of that.
You gotta imagine what his life is like, though. Does he just like check obituaries like on the reg, bro? Like day after day, hour after hour. That's great, man. That's a career.
If I was just Stevie Wonder, I'd just be enjoying the banana pudding I'd be getting every night.
Oh yeah, hell yeah, I'm with you there. All right, so now that after that incident that we just witnessed with Larson going in the wall, that eliminated his opportunity of winning the race. Almirola pulled away and got the dub. Huge win. This was the first win for the Siegs, Ryan Sieg Racing there. Big moment for them. That was pretty dang cool to see that happen. And Almirola, it was his 4th career Xfinity win. So that was a big moment for him as well. So, I mean, is there any more thoughts you got on the Xfinity race, or pretty much cover it all there?
No. I really thought we were going to see a pretty good battle between Larson and Almirola there at the end, but Larson just not being able to hold that run together, and Almirola taking it away for giving Siegs, a win there. That's pretty cool. I think that's the news of the weekend. Well, actually, I think maybe the news of the weekend is Ferrari finally dethroning Toyota, but
yeah.
Either way, it's two big stories. I still think that the Siegs getting a win is a big deal.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. And then I think you have to kind of maybe give Larson a bonehead move of the week here. If you were watching that last 15 laps, Larson was 100 times better than Almirola. Like he could have got by him at any time. And then he just was overdriving certain corners, losing a little bit of time, gain it all back, and then overdrive again. It was just a really Kyle Larson-esque race there, and that would definitely nominate you to be a bonehead of the week if you don't do what you do. That's Larson. It was a very un-Larson type race.
Yeah.
I guess agree. Next, I guess I forgot to mention it at the top. We do actually have a call-in tonight from a Chase Elliott super fan here, actually. His name is Uncle Buster Biggs. We got him on hold right now. Let's bring him in. Hey, Uncle Buster Biggs, do you got a copy? How are you doing tonight, sir? Alrighty. Well, I'm glad that you have decided to make it here tonight. I guess my first question is why do you pull for Chase Elliott? What makes you a big Chase Elliott fan here? Wow. Yeah, that's I mean, that's a good point you bring up there for sure. I guess my third question here since you're so insightful here, is what is your fondest Chase Elliott moment of his career thus far? Yeah, definitely. Definitely one of the top 3 moments of his career, for sure. I like that insight. That brings me back to some times of the past. I guess my 4th question here is, with all of the time that Chase Elliott's been away from the track this year, what are his odds of making the 2023 playoffs? Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree with you there. I guess that answers all my questions for tonight. I really appreciate you coming in, and maybe we'll catch you on another one. Alrighty. Well, there you have it. Chase Elliott superfan there. Uncle Buster Biggs. Hopefully we hear back from him again soon. Very insightful messages he shared here with the audience at home. Now with that being
very insightful.
Yeah.
we very appreciate those comments, and we love when people call in. If you guys want to be the next one, just hit us up. We'll let you guys come on in.
Yeah, for sure. We'd love to hear from some Haley Deegan fans next, since they've got such great insight on racing. I guess now we'll talk about the Cup race, right? The Toyota Save Mart 350 here. We've got Denny Hamlin qualifying on pole. He also went on to dominate stage 1, gets the dub here. We saw the Toyotas really dominate stage 1. It was pretty impressive, actually, how fast the Toyotas were here, considering how terrible they were on road courses last year. So it really looked like a Toyota day. After that, we saw a pit sequence. We saw Truex leap Hamlin here on lap 28 and take the lead, and he led for a significant amount of time until we saw our first caution on lap 50 with Zane Smith losing a wheel on pit road. I personally don't think this should have been a caution. The tire was controlled on pit road. I don't get it, but it's NASCAR. That's what they do.
I think NASCAR, Big Daddy NASCAR there was just itching to have a caution. Just itching.
Yeah, trying to find any way to take this day away from Toyota and specifically Truex. After that, we saw pit stops. All of the leaders go in. We saw Kyle Busch stay out. So Kyle Busch goes on to lead for a little while, wins stage 2. Truex eventually was able to get back by him there on lap 69 and controlled the race again. I mean, he didn't win either of the stages so far, but he has led by far the most laps. So just having a phenomenal day. We saw a caution here late, 19 laps to go. Your pole sitter, Denny Hamlin, we don't have a replay of it to show you guys, but from what I saw, it looked like, and what he said as well, is he tried to pass through a wall to get by William Byron. What are your thoughts on trying to pass someone through a wall? What is the strategy behind that, Tom? Do you have any ideas?
No.
All right, moving on. So after this caution, we see another round of pit stops. We see Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, I believe, and Tyler Reddick stay out. We saw Tyler Reddick actually lose a tire there, goes flat, goes around backwards, and goes to pit lane to prevent a caution from coming out, and gets a pass-through penalty. I mean, I think this is ridiculous. What are your thoughts on this penalty for Reddick here?
Big Daddy NASCAR. They were just itching to try and screw up this race in any possible way. They would have rather Reddick go around and make a caution than him do the right thing and go back down pit road, not destroy the man's equipment, right? Trying to go back around the track. I mean, his car would have been totally destroyed. The undercarriage, the wheel, the splitter, everything would have just been, worse to look at than, a plane crash or some stupid crap like that. But NASCAR doesn't care. They were itching so bad to get a caution. Tyler Reddick did the right thing. There was nobody coming. And Big Daddy NASCAR strikes again.
There you have it. Big Daddy NASCAR strikes again. And then after that, we saw Truex end up taking the lead with 14 laps to go. Excuse me. And ends up just winning the race. 33rd career win. And it actually pole vaults him to the points lead here. We'll talk about that here more in a second. But dominant performance. This was his 4th career Sonoma victory. He owns that place. He's basically Sonoma's daddy at this point. Do you have any thoughts on this race? I mean, with how bad Toyota ran last year on road courses and how good they did this year, and just kind of the dominant performance Truex had. What are your thoughts?
I still am a firm believer that this car just sucks so bad that it's not a driver's car at a driver's track anymore. We're not seeing what we used to see, you know, like with the car of tomorrow or the Gen 6 car, you know. We're just seeing single file racing, and I don't think stages would have made a difference at all. Stage cautions. Stage cautions wouldn't have made a difference. I mean, you saw every single caution from there on out, they'd go through turns 5, 6, and 7, and then they'd be single file again. Nobody was dive bombing. Everybody was giving. There wasn't a lot of taking, but it all comes back to how this car was designed, and, you know, independent rear suspensions now with sequential gearboxes and all of the, I mean, just the sheer amount of grip that this car makes. You'd think that they would create such good passing and stuff like that, but I don't. This race, in my opinion, was a snooze fest. Even strategy didn't even take part in this. I mean, a little bit. I mean, you saw some short pitting and it worked, right? But I mean, you can't make that work throughout the whole race, because at the end, I mean, I don't know. I just, again, this car just sucks so bad, and it's not just because of racing performance. It's driver safety, and it's such everything that I talk about week that we have this podcast. I talk about it every week, and it's just indicative of every weekend we see this car just fail and fail and fail. That's just my opinion. But the Xfinity race was not that much different, really. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think it.
I'm not a racing expert.
Right, Kevin. Our comment section will tell you that. I guess my biggest thought here was the only real strategy that we saw was people just deciding not to pit, because tires literally mean nothing. I mean, we saw Chase Elliott at the end of this race. He was running like 12th, decides not to pit. I think he finished 4th. I mean, if you could literally maintain your track position for 2 laps, you just had to survive 2, maybe 3 laps at the most, but it was basically 2 laps. If you could survive 2 laps with your track position, you were going to maintain it. And that's all there was to it. So tires don't mean anything.
And it's the same thing. Yeah, and it's the same thing we saw at Martinsville. It's the same thing we saw at Atlanta. It's the same thing we saw at Bristol. It doesn't matter. Tires don't matter. And that is never something we've encountered before. I mean, Eric Almirola was at Atlanta, you know, even though he blew a tire. I mean, I get that, but how many laps was he on? Like 90-lap-old tires at Atlanta?
Yeah.
Leading a race, and nobody could pass him? I mean, that's not, I don't know. I don't. Make these tires, like, as soft as a baby's butt, and so it only lasts 20 laps. Goodyear obviously comes out and says, hey, we recommend, you know, only 20 laps on these set of tires. Anything past that, it's on you guys. Whatever. Right. Make the racing better.
Yeah, I'm 100%. I think that's where we need to start first, is with tires. And once we fix the tire, and then I guess my other thought too is the other thing we can fix is the brakes. The brakes are too damn good. That's why we don't see dive bombs. These guys can drive it 100 freaking yards past their braking point into the corners anymore. I mean, the old cars, you had to get those things woed down, man. Those things were gonna just slide through the corner if you didn't. They were undrivable. And now these cars are so much grip, and the brakes are so good that they could just drive it to 10, 20 feet past their normal braking zone and still make the corner. So it's just terrible.
I think that's a great point. I think actually, I remember when I was on a truck team and we were going road course racing and all this other stuff, we'd switch out our 2-piston calipers for 4-piston calipers for short tracks and road courses. Outlaw the 4 pistons. Just bring in the 2 pistons. You don't get as much braking power. You don't get much braking surface on the rotors from the pads. I mean, make it difficult. Make it hard.
Yeah, make it where you have to save your brakes. Because that was one thing we used to hear all the time back in the Gen 4, Gen 5 era, is these drivers would have to save their brakes for a long run. Like, you couldn't just dive it into corners every lap consistently, because at the end of the day, you're going to blow your brakes are done. You're going to see what we saw a couple weeks ago there at Gateway with the brake failures. So, I mean, we don't want to see that every week, but we don't want to see what we saw this week every week either. Got to find a happy balance.
Well, I mean, brake fade is different than a rotor exploding. But
that's true.
Besides the point, it would make the drivers save their stuff for the end of the race, which is really the basis of circle track racing, is saving your stuff for the end of the race.
Mm-hmm. That's really the basis of all racing, right? Just being consistent. And
you're right. You're right.
But
absolutely.
But I get what you're saying. Exactly. That's the whole point. It's not, hey, I'm going to stay out on tires that are 30 laps older than the guy next to me, and I'm going to be ahead of him 2 laps from now because I decided not to pit.
Yep.
So, So, really, if any more in these cup races, if you are late in a race, just don't pit. I mean, worst case scenario, you'll fall back 5 spots.
Yeah, right.
I mean, or you could pit and start 20th and gain 2 of them back and finish 18th. I mean, it's up to you. So, really, just don't pit.
Yeah.
So, I think that pretty much summarizes the weekend there. Great races. We'll go over the cup points, and then we'll do our driver of the week and bonehead of the week segments. So first off with the cup points, like I mentioned, Truex to the points lead. Like we said last week, the points are so tight right now between the top 10 drivers that really, if any of them win a week, they're going to pretty much ball all the way to the top of the points. So that's what we saw this week. We saw it last week with Blaney as well. So Truex is your points leader. 13 points behind him is Byron, and 24 points behind him is Blaney in third. And then our cut line changed. Bowman is now 16th in points, while Suarez slid back to 17th in points. And we'll keep you updated on that bubble and cutoff line as the playoffs approach here ever closer. We'll go over the driver of the week segment now. I want to nominate Parker Kligerman in the Xfinity Series for that P5 finish. Just a great road racer. He ran a phenomenal race, keeping it up in the front the whole race, not making any mistakes, and getting a respectable finish for a team that doesn't necessarily have the resources that some of these top teams have. I also want to bring up Chris Buescher in the Cup race, finishing P4. Sleeper all day long. Didn't really make any mistakes, and I think that if he would have chose to stay out instead of pitting there at the end, he might have had something for Truex. Maybe not win the race, but he would have definitely had a chance to be up front and control the race. And then also, I want to nominate the Iron Dames team there in GTE during the 24-hour Le Mans. Me and Tom both picked them as our dark horse, and they definitely did what we expected them to do, or what we hoped they could do. And they finished P4 in the GTE class, very respectable. And they nearly could have had a top 2 if they didn't have issues there late in that race, and they would have finished higher than that P4.
Yeah, I just want to say something real quick. This Iron Dames team, phenomenal week, phenomenal weekend. I mean, if you guys didn't follow them during the 24 hours, I mean, you guys got to follow them by like an hour-by-hour time frame, because what they did during that race was just unbelievable. And for them to finish P4, I'm pretty positive that this group of women driving this car was the first time that it's the first time as a group that they came and raced at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Pretty sure they raced some other European series together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I can't be positive,
and some,
but I'm pretty sure this is their first.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm pretty sure this is their first 24-hour race together. But this 24-hour race is completely different than anything else in the world for any event. And so for them to do what they did and persevere to the end and to finish P4, I think it would be just it would be really, really, really stupid not to nominate this group of women for driver of the week.
Yeah, this is big for not just auto racing, but it's big for any women aspiring to be race car drivers, young girls aspiring to be race car drivers. Like, to look up to this group of women right here with the perseverance they had and just the drive, and a few things go their way here and there. I mean, they had the pace of the Corvette, so just a phenomenal drive. It's tough to win the 24-hour. It's tough to even finish, and they'd had really no missteps besides mechanical issues. So that was pretty dang impressive. For next, we're going to do the Bonehead of the Week nominees here with Jack Aiken, obviously there with Whelen Cadillac Performance Team in the hypercar during the 24-hour Le Mans, wrecking on lap 1 in a 24-hour race. That is 100% going to nominate you as a Bonehead Move of the Week, regardless of who you are and what 24-hour race it is. Now, Kyle Larson running into the tires in the Xfinity. The only reason I'm nominating him here is because, like I mentioned, this was the most un-Kyle Larson-esque race. Had it controlled for the beginning, and then at the end with a better car behind Almirola, just overdrove too many times, and it finally caught up to him and got into the tire barrier and choked this race. So, nominee of the week. And then obviously Denny Hamlin. I don't know if I'm mistaken or if he's mistaken, but I don't think you can drive through walls. I don't think he's Casper the Ghost. So that will nominate him as a Bonehead of the Week.
Yeah. Yeah, he needs to stop looking up to Lyle Gregson there.
Yes. Exactly. I mean, he is going to Toyota, so they're going to be working together a lot here in the near future.
Oh, great. Watch out, Walls. They're coming for you.
All right. I guess next is the race previews for the races this weekend. We have the ARCA series at Berlin Speedway there in Michigan. We have IndyCar and Indy NXT at Road America, one of my favorite tracks, favorite road courses. It's an amazing place. I want to go personally watch a race there. I don't know about you, but I want to. It's on my bucket list. I think it'd be awesome.
I've been there a couple times. It's a pretty great racetrack.
Yeah, for sure. And plus, like, just the camping and everything for that weekend. Like, the 4th of July at Road America was just, like, for NASCAR, was, like, the perfect idea. Again, we'll talk about that when we get closer, but just terrible, terrible idea to move that. And then Formula One at the Canadian Grand Prix Circuit Villeneuve there. So we'll get right into our predictions here. The ARCA race at the Berlin ARCA 200, favorites, dark horses, and what to expect. Well, it's short track racing. So first off, I am going to take the dominant guy in the ARCA series, without a doubt, undisputed, Jesse Love, just on a tear with Venarini. He's going to be the winner of this race. My dark horse is out of the same stable, his teammate, and I think that she will run great here and potentially get a top 5. I'm taking Tony Breidinger. Who do you got, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, I got Jesse Love too. Again, it'd be really dumb not to choose him. He is the hottest driver in the ARCA series right now. There is nobody coming close to that man. So Jesse Love, you know, I had a tough choice between two drivers for Dark Horse. I was going to choose Tony Breidinger, but I'm going to go with Greg Van Alst. And I just think with his experience and, you know, what he's done with this series so far, Greg knows what to do. And he might not have the best car on track, but he can do a lot with his equipment. So I'm going to go with Greg Van Alst.
Yeah, that's a great pick. Now we'll do the Indy NXT Firestone Grand Prix of Road America. My favorite for this weekend, I think he's going to go back-to-back. Finally gets his first win in the NXT at Detroit. I'm going with Nolan Siegel to go back-to-back in the NXT. And my dark horse is going to be Louis Foster. And I believe the only reason I'm taking him as my dark horse is because I believe that he's going to turn around the bad luck he had at Detroit. And he's going to be competing right up there with Nolan Siegel for this win. Who do you got, Tom?
Yeah, I got Christian Rasmussen, current points leader. I mean, I don't think that. I think that he's going to maintain. I think it'd be great for him to win, given his position right now and keeping that P1 position in points. And then for my dark horse, again, I'm going to have to go with Louis Foster, just because that man absolutely slapped the wall going into turn 6, I think, at Detroit during qualifying, and then continued to put it on pole. I mean, what an absolute Chad, man. I mean, I don't even know how to explain. I mean, that's right there is the highlight of his career, slapping that wall and still putting it on pole with that broken A-arm. He didn't put it on pole that lap that he slapped the wall. He put it on pole the lap after. So, and he had a bent upper A-arm. And you could visually see it on the broadcast. That's just my rant there. Louis Foster, I think he's severely underrated.
Yeah. And I guess one more thing I want to mention about the Indy NXT is what a great series. The races so far this season have just been outstanding. I mean, I love waking up early Sunday morning before the IndyCar race and catching this race on Peacock, and just it's insane. I mean, these drivers are just always you never know who's going to win, because any of them could service to the front. It's kind of like the modern day Xfinity series right now for NASCAR. It's very entertaining, open to anybody can win it, really. So
yeah, and the Indy NXT series is not like what it's been in the past few years, where we've seen 6 to 8 cars start the race. We've got 12 cars that are capable of winning every race. That's unheard of in this series.
Yeah.
And it makes for absolutely amazing racing.
Yeah, great point. That was a good thing to mention there as well. Now the IndyCar race, the Soncio Grand Prix at Road America. Favorites, dark horses, and what to expect. I am going to pick Alex Palou to win this race. He's on an absolute tear. Clearly the championship favorite. I mean, he is just putting this is like a career-defining moment for him. Absolutely putting all the doubt behind everybody and just going out and just laying down performance after performance that is just undeniable. And I believe he's going to do this in a complete fuel strategy race. He's just going to out-strategize everybody. His engineers, his race strategists have just got it all pegged to the T. And it seems like every week they've got it figured out. Whether they'll lose the lead through sequence or lose the lead on track, they always stay to their guns and they just find a way to get there at the end and win the race. It's like Jimmy Johnson-esque from his prime. It's just insane what they've been doing this year. And my dark horse is out of that same stable with Ganassi. I'm taking Marcus Armstrong, and I just am taking him because he really impressed me at Detroit, and I just have a feeling that good things are coming his way. Who do you got, Tom?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously Alex Palou is, I think, he's definitely going to win the race. But I'm going to go on a limb here. I'm going to go out and say Alexander Rossi. And the reason why I say that, because of his Andretti time. He has shown absolute brilliance here at Road America in his past. I think there's no other driver right now that knows that track better than Alexander Rossi. I think this is a great place for him to turn around his season and to start winning again. So I'm going to go with Alexander Rossi. And for my dark horse, I am putting him on a dark horse list because this man just cannot find a way to win. But I hope to God he can find a way to win. So I'm going with Romain Grosjean. I think that it is his absolute time to do it. I don't know how much more bad luck this man can take. It amazes me that he even wants to show up on race weekends anymore. But kudos to him. I really hope he wins as well.
Yeah, I think if the Romain Grosjean wins, I feel like the clouds will just finally become blue. The sun will come out again. It'll be like the racing gods will just be on his side. And then after he wins,
Red
then
Sea
Sheldon Creed will win.
splits.
Yeah, right. The reincarnation of Jesus.
Sheldon Creed's next.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love to see it. I feel so bad for him. This year's just been tough. It's been tough. Next we'll talk about the Formula One race, right? The F1 Canadian Grand Prix at Circuit Villeneuve here. Favorite star courses and what to expect. For me, what to expect, I feel like to expect what we've seen for pretty much 95% of the season. Max Verstappen absolutely laying it on them boys in that extremely quick Red Bull and just dominating this race. And from the start of the green to checkered, he's just going to be dominant, extend his points lead, and just basically make everyone else look dumb. And then for my dark horse, and I'm taking it because I'm just so excited with the performance of this team and just their great runs at the beginning of the year that kind of got taken away with bad luck or collision. It's all come back around, and I think Esteban Ocon is going to get a podium in this race. The Alpine strategy has been great, their pace has been great, and their drivers are top notch, and their equipment's getting better. And I think that Alpine is going to take a pull with get a podium here with Esteban Ocon. Who do you got, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, it's of course you're gonna have to choose Verstappen. I mean, that's the easiest thing you can do. I don't really think there's anybody else that can win. But for my dark horse, I'm gonna go again out on a limb here, and I'm gonna go with Kevin Magnussen. I think this is a great start for that American team to go and get some points, get within the top 10, and reinstate Haas as a mid-pack field or mid-pack team, and get some much-needed points this weekend.
Yeah, that would be awesome to see. I like that pick. Next, I guess we don't have a NASCAR fantasy this week. No NASCAR races. That's interesting. So we'll skip over that segment this week. Stay tuned for that on the next episode. But our favorite, not really a fan favorite, our personal favorite segment of the week, Radioactive of the Week. This week's quote is, and I quote, "All these guys lose their blank minds under 20 to go." If you can guess which driver said that quote in the comment section below or on the community post after the podcast, we'll get a shout out in next week's podcast. So good luck to everybody. We got lots of new subscribers, so make sure you guys guess which driver said that quote. And it might not be someone you expect, so definitely probably want to go do your research. Alrighty. Well, that pretty much sums up the episode 20. Do you have any closing thoughts here, Tom?
Guys, we're still ramping up for this Nexus 499 race here, June 26th. Is that right?
24th, Saturday.
Let me look real quick. 24th. That's right. Yes, 24th. June 24th, we're going to be running 499 miles here at Talladega Motor Speedway with the 1987 Cup cars. This is a huge effort and race being put on over with the Nexus Sim Racing guys. We've already got poll awards. We've got race winnings going to winner. It is a free entry race. Go ahead and look them up. If you guys need some information to go and look them up, just comment down below or to the side, wherever it is. And we'll get you that information. If you guys want to be a part of that, just comment. We'll get you all the information you need to come on out and have some fun with us. And the best part about it, I think this is the best part. Jay and I are going to be broadcasting that race straight from this channel. So I think that's going to be the really cool part there. But on top of that, make sure you guys don't miss the normal broadcasted races we're putting on. We're doing Mondays, we're doing Thursdays, and we're doing Fridays right now. So make sure you guys check that out. Make sure you guys go leave a like and a comment. And if you guys ever so kindly don't mind subscribing to our channel, it helps us out a lot, and we truly do appreciate it.
Perfect. And I guess from the end of the videos here, expect daily uploads as always. continuing to put out some type of content for you every day. Also, make sure to tune in next week, as every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, we're right here to talk all the racing from the week before and the week upcoming. So make sure you always stay tuned to that. Turn on your notifications and come in and enjoy these nice rants, topics, and discussions that we always bring to you. And then as well, thanks to Dubby again. Go check out their products. The links are in the description. Go check out all of our socials. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook. Go and subscribe on our Patreon. We got some exclusive content we're preparing to put on there. Now that we've got so many more subscribers added to the channel. Also, stay tuned for our monthly Motorsports Crash compilation. You've got everything in there. You've got everything from NASCAR to IndyCar to Formula Racing. You've got F4, F3, F2, F1. It doesn't matter. We've got it. World Endurance Championship, IMSA, Michelin Pilot Series, any type of sports car racing, GT3s, LMP2s, LMP3s, hypercars, everything you can expect. We even have short track racing. We have Mini Cooper style racing. Like, we've got all types of sports car racing. We've got short track racing at local asphalt tracks. Wing sprint cars on dirt. We've got dirt late models. I mean, any type of racing that you can expect, you'll see on there that had a crash during the month. May is out. June is upcoming. Working progress right now. Waiting for the end of the month for that to come out. So we appreciate all of the views and comments and likes we got from that video. And with that being said, this has been Jay and Tom here doing the Full Send Half Mast Podcast, episode 20. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. And we cannot wait to see you guys in the next one. And we will see you guys again shortly. Thank you guys so much. Signing off. Enjoy the $4.99 promo.
The best iRacers in the business.
When we got stakes for real, we looking out for the opposition. We don't do this for mass appeal. Don't make me blast it still. I put in work, no Vladimir. You want me to lose, but I can't. Mama shed like 1,000 tears. I can't do that shit to waste. I pull up in Mercedes. Next year you gon' see me pull up in the race.
This is gonna create fantastic racing.
When I was down bad, boy, I got on my knees and I started to pray. Now I'm breaking bread with my young vet wins. You was a part of the gang. Now we getting paid every single day. Yeah, I was hustling. I could turn an 8 to a 28. Let me show you. 12, they can kiss my ass. Yeah, see them lights, but you know I got the strap. Go right up, now we getting paid every single day. Yeah, I was hustling. I could turn an 8 to a 28. Let me show you. 12, they can kiss my ass. Yeah, see them lights, but you know I got the strap. Go right, I push the.
He refuses to lose!
I do the dash, on my way to the bag, boy, you know I push the gas.
Yeah, okay, my timing is critical. They know my rhyming is pivotal. Homie, the dash is digital, gas residual. Fire and smoke like I'm leading a ritual. You bet my cash is long. I hit the gas, I'm gone. Riding my wave. I've been stuck in my zone. I bet I blast them all. Sliding on faith. I've been out finding my ways. Grinding for days. I've been out shining the hate. All of y'all wanted for praise. Stuck in a phase. Lighter than turn it ablaze. Yeah, homie, you don't wanna race. Nah, better to stick to your place. Yeah, want it all, I gotta taste. You push on the pedal, now I gotta skate. Yeah, all I ever know. Put me on this throne. Pinnacle. Push my buttons and that motherfucker go. What you know, what you own. Push it and I zone. Sonic booms from the room, running till the tomb with my goons, smell the fumes. Y'all know what it do with the crew when we coming through. Y'all know better move, make it fast. Ain't no second chance coming for your ass.
iRacing Top 10, here he comes!
Better push the gas like.
I do the dash, on my way to the bag.